And before you guys ask, yes, this entire session will be recorded, and we'll share the session with you over email once the entire session is over. So you receive a copy of the recording together with a copy of the PowerPoint slides that I'll be sharing with you later today. So thank you so much for spending your Tuesday afternoon with me. I know 3 p.m. is a bit of a trap because this is a time when people really need coffee. So hopefully I'll keep you guys all entertained so that you'll be interested in finding out how you can use ScienceDirect to enable research and learning. My name is Nicholas, and I'm the platform consultant from Elsevier. I'm currently based in Singapore, but I've been working with Malaysian universities for over 6 years now. So before we actually carry on, how many of you have used ScienceDirect before? Can I see a show of hands? Okay, good. All right, great. So most of you will probably know that with ScienceDirect and through ScienceDirect, you're able to have a lot of access to data and peer review information, which allows you to move research forward. And one of the key things that we actually have identified and learned during the pandemic is that with institutions shifting to online learning, ScienceDirect is very important for students, faculty members, and librarians to be able to access it so that you're able to adapt to an online remote learning environment. Faculty researchers are able to search for content and solutions to build their online coursework, and librarians can support their end users as well. So one of the key things we have identified is to understand user behavior. We observed that researchers have spent approximately about 4 hours per week to search for information, and you spend about 5 hours per week to read about this. So it's very, very crucial that you're able to leverage and to access the top quality content. The one thing we also have noticed is that research is also becoming more interdisciplinary. When you have unknown terminology being introduced and you want to find out how authentic and the veracity of this information. With article output growing, staying up to date requires increasing amount of time spent to keep up to date on this. And one of the key things that we over at Elsevier have been doing is to constantly focus on AI technologies to improve content discoverability. There's a lot of facts that you can extract over ScienceDirect, and we have over 3,000 predictive models trained on 1.5 billion health card records. Today's session, we'll be talking to you on relevance, discoverability, and flexibility. But I think what we will focus more on is discoverability, because this is always something that is always more challenging when as a student, you want to look for the right content at the right point in time, the most pertinent piece of research. But before we go on further, I want to introduce you a bit on relevance when you're able to get the right content for different stages of education and for learning. The one thing we have observed is that ScienceDirect has been designed to meet the evolving needs of interdisciplinary researchers across books, across journals, right? You don't really stay in a silo anymore. 78% of research is interdisciplinary, and we observed that about 6.3 million books and journals were used together on ScienceDirect in the same research session in 2019. But before we go on further, I think it's interesting for me to talk about the scholarly cycle. So one thing that we do and get every year is that we get about 2.5 million of article submissions to us every single year. And that is a lot, right? As a publisher over at Elsevier, we have to constantly manage the entire article and chapter submissions. We definitely have to ensure quality standards through the peer review, and therefore we are able to promote up to 2.5 million authors, where we enable about 1 million reviewers. The manuscript editing process is very important. When the editor communicates with the author, there's also a lot of communications between author and publisher communications. And this entire process of ensuring absolute quality means that we are able to produce up to 560,000 articles every single year. Now, here's the question, right? Like people always come to me and say, hey, Nicholas, does Elsevier reject all the articles all the time? Because my article isn't published very often. And my answer to that is like, we don't reject it all the time. We just reject it pretty often. Now with about 2.5 million submissions and about 560,000 published articles, we reject maybe about 2 million articles, right? But that's not because we want to reject so many articles, or is it that we want to make life difficult? It's just that we are very cognizant in this day and age. While technology has made it easier for people to submit articles for consideration, it also means that there is a lot of work that has to be done for us to go through all these articles and to identify the top articles that can be published. And we published about 560,000 in 2020, and that is a lot. So there'll be a promotion and dissemination with regards to all this. And we always promote and disseminate a lot of content and information around. The one thing that we always make sure we do very well is that in the last 365 days, there were about 25,000 releases, and the platform uptime was approximately at 99.8%. So that's actually very significant as well, if you think about it. So one thing that we observe in terms of the World Journal Reference publication and citation share is that Elsevier publishes approximately about 17% of the world's total journal publications and articles in the world. This is actually very significant because it's about 1/5 of total citations received, of one-fifth of total publications published. From this 17% of publications, we observe that Elsevier has generated up to 25% of the world's total citations. And this is actually very significant because it's up to a quarter of the world's total citations. From this 17%, we also observe that Elsevier has provided approximately about 25% of global total references. So we can see that in terms of a research ecosystem, Elsevier published about 17% of the world's total content. We get approximately about 25% of the world's total citations, and underpinning this is approximately about 25% of the world's total references, which is actually very, very significant. So a very key component here we are talking about is to develop science literacy in terms of knowledge and processes. We know when it comes to publishing research and content, it's very important to underpin knowledge and practice, right? Because knowledge is information where you're able to garner understanding in terms of knowledge. Practice is how to implement and leverage this knowledge into actionable content. So we know this, right? And for instance, let's talk about some examples. One way of getting knowledge is by getting basic scientific facts, right? A very good practice next would be to ask questions and to define problems through these basic scientific facts. The other key thing here would be, how do you identify patterns, right? But one way of identifying patterns and taking a step forward would be to analyze and to interpret data. The next stage that we're talking about will be cause and effects in terms of mechanism and explanation. And a very important step forward would be to construct explanations. You have systems and system models. And then the next thing would be to actually engage in argument from evidence. Lastly, we have structure and function. And a very key way of improving practice will be to obtain, evaluate, and to communicate information. So we can see in this process, in terms of knowledge and in terms of practice, these are two very important components here, right? Having knowledge and being able to apply the practice to this knowledge. So let's go on to the next step. So ScienceDirect can be used to develop scientific practices by a couple of procedures, right? So you can ask questions and define problems. And this can be consolidated when you use introduction of literature review and methods. You can analyze and interpret data. And for instance, this translates to your research by discussion and conclusion. You can construct explanations using evidence, and this can be done through results and discussion. You can engage in argument from evidence, and this can be done through the introduction, discussion, and conclusion. and you can obtain, evaluate, and communicate information. And where you can actually improve this on is by understanding in your thesis how there can be implications, citations, and references. So ScienceDirect can actually be used to develop scientific practices if you're actually able to leverage on all this and then to take it a step forward to implement it in your own research lifecycle when you're writing an article. It's very important to build knowledge, and knowledge building should be seamless in this case. So across ScienceDirect, you can leverage on different content types. Most of you are familiar with journals, but what I would suggest you to do also would be to go to ScienceDirect topic pages, right? And this links you to major reference works, ebooks, serial series, and handbooks. So you're actually able to leverage on different components of the research to really grow your knowledge on a topic and article. So journals are newest cutting edge of findings your research. Major reference works are foundational information, which opens up a fundamental overview on the existing body of knowledge. You have ebooks and monographs, and these present sustained arguments to broaden the sphere of investigation and to open up new paths of inquiry. And there's serials, series, and handbooks, which offers a fresh and in-depth perspective on the current state of research that uses the latest scholarship. And this is something that we summarize on as this pyramid of knowledge, right, in terms of journals and books. So we have journals here, which indicates primary research and the summary of a journal article on a topic. And then we have books here, right, where you have major reference works as comprehensive foundational introduction to a discipline, such as encyclopedias. You have textbooks, you have ebooks, and you have book series. And this really helps you to grow your knowledge in terms of understanding information. So yes, we have contents tailored for undergraduate coursework, education, as well as learning. And you can leverage this through textbooks, references, reference works, as well as review articles. And ScienceDirect really wants to help you through all this by providing you with the most appropriate content to discover more information and breakthroughs so that you can stay up to date on your research and so that you can manage research as well. The next stage will be on discoverability, and I think that's something which you'll be interested in. So first and foremost, researchers, students, and authors, you can all leverage on critical searching to find content directly on ScienceDirect. You can use multiple search fields and filters for advanced searches. We'll suggest publications to you. And all these are actually all latest advances that we have put in a snapshot so that you know what ScienceDirect has been updated to. The other thing that we have done is to optimize discoverability so that you can access the content regardless of where your search begins. We have partnered with Google, for instance, and this is what we call Google Casa, so that when you search if you're using Google Scholar, you'll be able to identify and have access to the full text article on ScienceDirect straight away. So this really helps to improve the content discoverability for you as well. We also have been working together with institutional repositories as well as ANI tools and aggregators such as Scopus, as well as Web of Science. But first and foremost, before we go on any further, I want you to actually log on to ScienceDirect. All of you have access to ScienceDirect. Come on, let me know if you want me to walk them through on how to actually access ScienceDirect through USM, but I think it should be straightforward. And when you access ScienceDirect, I want you to maybe spend approximately about 5 minutes right now. Unlock features, log on to ScienceDirect, create an account, put in your first name, your family name, your email, and your password. I want you to spend approximately 5 minutes now because there's some components on ScienceDirect that I would like you to access first and have access to before we carry on with this session as well. So yeah, it's approximately about 3:20 at the moment. Maybe it will take approximately about 5 minutes, and at 3:25, we'll carry on. So in the meantime, if you have any questions whatsoever, please type them in the Q&A box or the chat box. So let's spend 5 minutes to create your user account now. Thanks, Sahib. That's really fast. Let's give maybe about the rest of the other people, maybe 4 more minutes. Yeah. So I think if you're outside USM first, maybe Kamal can help actually guide me on this, but you should be able to access it via your Easy Proxy. And then you'll be able to access ScienceDirect, and then you should be able to log into this and to create an account. It's very...
Yeah, Nick.
Yeah. Hi, Kamal, over to you.
Yeah, so I think for those who cannot log in into the system, into ScienceDirect, you can go to library website, lib.usm.my. Then please click on to off-campus login via open items. Then you need to log in using your official USM email and official email, and also the password of that email. Then you're going to get the list of databases under our subscription. Then please choose ScienceDirect. Then once you click ScienceDirect, you will be directed into the page of ScienceDirect. Then from there, you can register yourself. Let me type the step again in the chat box so that for those who are unable to get into the system, you can get some idea on how you can go there. Thank you.
Thanks, Kamal. Kamal, maybe you'd like to put in the link. Yeah, perfect. So I would suggest that you do what Kamal has suggested. You need to go into the USM library first and to access via Open Athens. That's when you can actually create access ScienceDirect properly. And it also ties in your own ID by linking it to the IP address on ScienceDirect. In this case, you will be able to get the entitlements that USM has subscribed for you. Rania, if you go to library.usm.my in the chat, you'll be able to see how you can access this as well. Let me type this and share this with you as well instead of Q&A box in case you can't see the chat option. Okay, so I think most of you should be able to have created the account. It's quite straightforward. Now that you're logged on to ScienceDirect, you can start browsing around. So first and foremost, when you're on ScienceDirect, you can see this entire chat function itself. The search functionality offers a multitude of search fields, filters, and alerts to focus on your search and to improve your workflow. And then you can choose the search technique that you prefer. If you want a broad search that you can filter afterwards, go towards the search bar. You can do a quick search on it. So this is a quick search tool. You can see under keywords, author name, journal title, volume, issue, and pages. You can put in the keywords or an author name or the title of a journal of a book to get started. One thing which we have done is to improve on the advanced search functionalities. So this goes on to much greater depth and in detail. So you can search it by open author affiliation or article type. You can also click on more options. You can filter it for open access or open archives articles. You can see suggested publications. You can filter for volume and issue number in journals and book searches. You can set search alerts. You can notice the access and entitlement icon on each of this article, and you can download the search alerts as a CSV file. So this update to the advanced search is something that I want to spend more time in, right? Because we're talking about discoverability and how it allows you to search for more articles. So firstly, on advanced search, you should use specific search terms that are very closely related to your topic. So don't use ambiguous terms, right? Be very specific because you know what the keywords are in your research domains. You can try including alternate words and abbreviations, but you should avoid words which are too general. We have a couple of Boolean operators, specifically and, or, and not, as well as a hyphen or the minus symbol. But the Boolean operators, they must be entered all in uppercase, right? Then that's how we recognize it. The hyphen or minus symbol is interpreted as the not operator. For instance, the black / hyphen hole will return results containing black, the color, but it would exclude any instances where the word whole appears with it. So in the meantime, we also leverage on 3 Boolean operators: the not operator, the and operator, and the or operator. So and, or, and not, right? These 3 key operators. The and operator finds documents which contains all of the terms. So you can use this when the terms must appear, and sometimes they may be far apart from one another. So we are looking at geographic information system and urban sustainability. The or operator finds documents which contains any of the terms. Use or when one of the terms must appear, such as synonyms, alternate spellings, or abbreviations. So for instance, a micro mouse or a pickle mouse. So if you're looking for an S.W. Hawking or Stephen W. Hawking or Stephen Hawking, you should be able to find all of this. The not operator excludes documents which includes the specific term from the search. So you use not to exclude specific terms. This connector must be used at the end of a search. For instance, if you're searching for particle collisions, which are also not theoretical. So when you're using advanced search, you can use wildcard searches using asterisks, right? The asterisk can be used at the end of the word to represent 0 or more characters. And this is what we call a truncation operator. So the asterisk is really cool because now if you're looking for, say, pharma asterisk, you will search all the terms which contains the term pharma, right? And this is a lot of words. So you have pharma, pharmacy, pharmacist, pharmaceutical, pharmacokinetic, pharmacodynamic, pharmacovigilance, etc. And it goes on and on. So the asterisk really allows you to open up search terms. You can use it in the following fields in the advanced search, which is the main search box. So it searches for the full text. You have the title, abstract, and keywords, and you also have the title field. So you should type at least 3 characters before truncating with asterisks, such as ABC asterisk is supported, but AB asterisk is not supported. So we want to make sure that you can search for words that are relevant. The search query itself can contain a maximum of up to 10 wildcards. The wildcard asterisk can be combined with up to 20 Boolean operators, right? And or and not, as well as parentheses. So now you can see this, how we can use this. The wildcard can be used in the following fields: the main search box that searches on the full text, or in the advanced search, you can look for title, abstract, and keywords, or the title field. You can build your query using 20 operators, and after the release, we can contain up to 500 characters in the all fields area. So before we carry on further, I want you to spend maybe about 5 minutes to run through a very quick exercise, asking yourself, how am I going to search for palm oil in Malaysia? How am I going to search for novel coronavirus? So this one, I will leave it up to you on how you want to filter it downwards, because there's a lot of research going on COVID-19 at the moment, as well as information on Islamic banking. So I'm going to give you approximately about 5 minutes. Take a quick look. If any questions, once again, feel free to type in the chat box. Jim, yes, you can limit the search results by document types. So when you go to the index page itself, on the right side, you'll be able to limit it by the type of documents that you're looking at. So for instance, a journal article or a review paper or a note. But that's a very good question. I will run a live session on ScienceDirect later as we go on, and then we can basically go into more details along the way. If you'd like me to cover specifically more more pertinent or more direct searches, let me know and we can run through it as well. The other thing that I wanted to share with Afifa, who's asked in growing terms trend of opening to diverse cultures and freedom of identity, what is Elsevier's stance? And actually Elsevier is very, very proactive with regards to what we call as inclusion and diversity. So for more information, let me share this site with you and you can take a quick look at this to see how we actually support it. So you can go to elsevier.com and you can search for inclusion and diversity. And yeah, I hope you find this actually useful, Afifa. Yes, Chuan Ling, you will have a record of the video later. I'll be sharing this over to Kamal and Kamal will distribute it to everyone. So not to worry. So it's approximately about 3:35. So let me run through some of the way we can actually do searches on ScienceDirect. So firstly, we are looking at palm oil in Malaysia. The first thing most people would normally do would be to search for palm oil and you get 57,000 document results, which is a lot. The next step that you want to do is to filter it down by very specific ways. So you want to place this on open inverted commas. So now you're able to search for the term palm oil very specifically. This brings it down to 25,000 document results. The next thing you can consider doing would be to use the N modifier. You add Malaysia in the advanced search title field. So now you'll be able to look for palm oil and Malaysia within the search results. So you can place this either within the title or the title abstract and keywords. And this is a way that you can get the information which you're looking for. And it's much more specific and targeted. Under the novel coronavirus, okay, this one you probably get a lot of hits. So when this first started on initially, we also search for it under, say, SARS, right? A severe acute respiratory syndrome. But one way we have noticed is that you can search for COVID-19 or 2019 nCoV or SARS-CoV in the SARS advanced search title field. We get approximately about 25,000 documents and results. And when we refine this by 2021, we get up to 6,000 documents, probably even more, because there is actually a lot of research going on with regards to COVID and at the moment. If you're looking for, say, Islamic banking, this one is actually more straightforward. You can search for Islamic banking, open inverted commas, in the advanced title search field. So maybe this was interesting for you, and maybe you guys were trying to look for more articles than you would like to find as well. So at this point in time, I want to keep the floor open, right? I want to do a live session. So if any of you have any topics that you would like me to search for, you can put it in the chat box or the Q&A box, and we can spend maybe a quick 5 to 10 minutes running for you searches and how we can filter this down for you by document type, for instance. So yeah, let's give you 5 minutes now, 5 to 10 minutes now. Does anyone have any particular research that they'd like me to search for? Or if you're feeling particularly shy right now, we can always do a live session at the end of it all. Okay, some questions coming in. So okay, someone has given me a very specific search. So I have a DPing for per dot PSS by assets. This is super specific, so I'm going to try searching for this. All right, let me search over to a live demo. So let me know when you can see my screen. So this actually, now that you see over here, this is the latest view on ScienceDirect. You can see I've created my login here. You can see in journals and books. So let's go towards advanced search. And I need to see this topic because I've not seen doping of PDSS before. So you're the subject matter expert. I'll have to learn from you. So if I were to search for doping of perdot by acids here, I can see that in this very specific case, there's about 4,000 results. My assumption is perdot PSS is a very specific search phrase, so I'm going to put it in open inverted commas like this, right? So this is something that we can do. Then under here, for instance, we can go to show all fields, right? We can search for it. If there's an author or title that you want to narrow it down, you could do it this way. The other option that we can do is to also filter it by the years of search itself. So you can see, maybe you want to know what's the latest research in the past 2 years, and I can limit it to 2021 and 2020. So in which case, I have about 926 results. Someone was asking, if I want to find out more specifically about the article type, yes, you can. So under article type, we have short communications, mini reviews, data articles, book chapters, encyclopedias, research articles, and review articles. Let's take a quick look at encyclopedias and see what this is about, right? And we are able to find out this with regards to supercapacitors. Maybe this is something you're interested in. If not, we can switch over to research articles instead of encyclopedias, because research articles also show the latest research. The next option you can do is to sort it by either relevance, or my preference here is to also sort it by date. So we can see what is the latest research that's being done on this. So my understanding of perdot PSS now is that this is with regards to perovskite-based solar cells, for instance, right? So maybe this is something that you think it's relevant for you. So do let me know if you find this useful. Okay, so someone's asked, what is the advantage of using this over Google Scholar? So the main thing over Google Scholar is actually Google Scholar gives you a whole range of articles, which might be preprint, might not even be the accepted manuscript. What you find here on ScienceDirect is that ScienceDirect is the fully edited, fully published, fully peer-reviewed articles, which is being published by Elsevier, right? So there's a very thorough process of ensuring that the information which you're reading here is scientifically accurate, its veracity is proven, and you'll be able to get it in its full view itself. So the other thing that I can suggest that you can do is to let's take a look into, well, let's go by relevance here. And I want to go into this article that was published in the 24th of February in 2020. So now that you're fully on this page itself, right, you can talk about graphene pellets and how it can improve its conductivity. You can find out about all this information here. Now, assuming that you want to run through the article quickly, you want to know what's about, you can go to the introduction, right? You have a quick idea of what it's about. If you want to know what's the methods, you can go to the experimental section and you can take a look at this. And sometimes if you have no time, you want to go to the conclusions, you can come over here. We try to make sure this entire reading process here is very easy for you to read. And now if you want to find out about who the authors are, you can find out that these researchers are from Madrid, the University of Rey Juan Carlos, as well as a couple of other collaborations. You can also find interesting articles, metrics as well. So you can see other journals that have cited this article. You can find very similar articles based on keywords as this article is, and you can find more information on article level metrics. Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of chat going on. Let me read this in a quick bit. Yes, so now you can able to find quite a number of this information, right? I think this would actually help you to do it. Sorry, there's quite a fair bit. So, okay, someone's asked, what is the difference between open access and full text access? You have access to both usually. So Go open access is when the author has paid for this research article to make freely available for the rest of the world. They have paid for this article. But over at USM, as Ancient Karma will tell you, USM has contributed a very significant amount to increasing its library resources. So you're able to read a lot of these articles for free. So this is really the key thing. I would say, take a look at the article. Only if and when you don't have the article, maybe then try taking a look at open access. That might be a way for you to help it. Jim is asking, is EBSCO a better database for searches? You could use EBSCO, but I would say that on ScienceDirect itself, all the searches is integrated and you have direct access to the full text articles here. So this is something which I think is actually quite useful. Okay, someone is asking, well, I wouldn't be able to, someone's asking on translational principles of children's literature. Now that we have done one on PSS, I think, it's only fair that we go towards the humanities and social sciences. So let's try that. But thanks, that was actually an interesting new key search property that I've searched for before. So let's take a look at children's literature first. The first thing I'll do is I'll do look for children's literature and translation. And I would probably have about 374 results here. So in this case, you can actually find out what's the latest article in 2021. So in this case, you can see an autism spectrum disorder in French children's literature and analysis of portrayals of children with autism. You can talk about undergraduates literature discussion with cultural historical activity theory. You can talk about international perspectives in teaching the 4 skills in ELT, listening, speaking, reading, writing. Maybe this is something that you're looking for and is quite interesting. And I think this might be compelling for you as well. This article was received in 2019, accepted 1.5 years later in 2021, and we've made it available online as soon as possible. So what is interesting is this is really a book review with regards to this, and it's being written by Feng Haoda from Bohai University in the Liaoning province in China, right, for instance. But maybe you want to take a look at, say, other recommended article, and this might actually be a good way for you to find out more information about the research that you're interested in. If we do go back, you'll be able to find out more interesting articles, right? One of them, interestingly, is the impact of a Harry Potter-based cognitive behavioral therapy skills curriculum on well-being in middle schoolers. So you'll be able to find many, many interesting articles over on ScienceDirect. I think that's the fun thing, right? On ScienceDirect, you can search and find out much more information. This may be interesting to you and may be exciting for you as well. Yes, ScienceDirect actually supports other language searches, but one thing that we do is that you probably want to know that most of the time, most research articles are written in English and published in English. Scopus would probably be the one where you can search for other languages in greater depth and detail. Yes, someone has asked, can we save our searches? Yes, you can. So in a way, if you see this search results over here, you can set a search alert, and then you can now set your name of the weekly search alert. So let's talk about children's literature. You can set the email frequency, right? Monthly or weekly, and then you can save this as well. Unfortunately, we have some technical issues. So this is slightly embarrassing, but you can definitely set up the search alerts. And the one thing that I would point out is that you can probably go to your account over here, and then you can be able to see what you can manage your alerts, my history, and my recommendations. I'll go through all this information in greater detail, but what I have done is to set up a couple of search alerts for journals. So this is actually useful. And then you can set up a search alert over here, right? So we'll go through this in more detail subsequently. But in the meantime, I think hopefully you found this entire live session useful enough. So let me bring you through to the rest of what I want to share with you first. If you have more questions in the meantime, feel free to type them in the Q&A and chat box, and we can go through this later on. Okay, so now you are able to find out that you can do multiple searches for ScienceDirect. One thing which we do is that we also have suggested publications, and we'll go through this with you. Like you saw earlier when we did the searches, you can also browse the journals itself. You can refine your publications by domain and subdomain. You can choose the type of publications, and you can choose the type of access. This gives you much more greater control in terms of being able to search for content and information which you're looking at. The other thing which people always ask is that if sometimes when you do want to publish your article over with ScienceDirect, you want to evaluate the journal homepages, you can simply go to ScienceDirect and click on the journal. And I think this is really cool because now you can go to the journal and you can quickly decide if the journal is relevant to your needs. So this time, you spend less time trying to find the right information, and you can use this quickly in your workflow. We have all this in cards, which is a series of panels containing information types. And then you can find journal information and links quickly than ever before. This allows you to discover relevant content faster. It allows you to identify available content, including open access. You also are able to find out more information about the journal, including the aims and scope of the journal, the editorial board of the journal, the publication time of the journal, as well as the guides to publishing within the journal itself. This is something which you can definitely do and leverage on. We talk about topics briefly. I'm going to tell you how it works, and then I'm going to show you how it looks like. So one thing about ScienceDirect topics, and this is a fairly new function that we have developed, we use a combination of AI, machine learning algorithms, as well as a natural language processing tools to build a bridge between book and journal content. So what this really does is we are able to build on what we call a taxonomy building. So we're able to identify definitions, and then we mine it top down onwards. So what the topic page does is that as a researcher, sometimes you come across new terms and keywords that you're not familiar with, right? Rather than just alt-tabbing, going to Google, and then searching for the information, we take a look and bring you through to the specific article itself, the specific topic itself. So now this allows you to get the information at your fingertips. It's a curated, relevant, and accurate content way so that you're able to find information quickly. And this is how it looks like. So for instance, for those of you who are interested in polarization resistance, you can come in here and then you can identify it as the resistance of the specimen to oxidation during the application of an external potential, right? This is what PR means. And then you can find out the related terms, right? And then you can see the magnesium atom, magnesium alloy, behavior as electrode, corrosion potential, etc. These are the synonyms of it. And then you can go down to the very specific description. But the one thing that we have done with Google, for instance, is to actually partner them. So when they search for polarization resistance, sometimes you find this popping out as a ScienceDirect topic page itself. So this is something that we do to actually make it easier for you to find accurate information. You can take a look at this and try and see if some of the topics will pop up. I'm not saying all will pop up, I'm saying some will. So for instance, now you can actually take a look at neuroscience. Sometimes you want to know what's a amygdala, right? You're looking at this information here. What is an amygdala? And then now you find out that it's within the temporal lobe, which comprises a component of the limbic system, right? And then you can find the related terms. And then you can also find more description with regards to this specific terminology. So topic pages is something quite useful. You can use this to find more information throughout. And I think you can definitely leverage on this to delve further and deeper into ScienceDirect. We also have a topic pages. So if you go to sciencedirect.com/topic page, you'll be able to browse for the topics itself, and then you can find out more. There's actually a lot of topics at the moment. If I'm not mistaken, it's about 300 to 500,000 topics. So, and that's because we have 18 million articles on ScienceDirect. That really is a lot of data to go through. Okay, so moving away from topics for the time being, one of the key functions that ScienceDirect has improved on, apart from advanced search, is to actually create a recommendation tool. So remember when I was asking you earlier to create your own login and your own account? So what ScienceDirect does is that it observes some of the keywords that you're searching for. And then now it pushes forward over to you some of the keywords, and some are recommended articles. So sometimes you have too many information going through. What we have is a personalized recommender based on your recent sign-in topics, activity. And this is something that we send to your email each week. So about 25% receive a recommendation that they want to read. The more frequent your sign-ins, the more specific the recommendations are. And what it does is that it pours through 18 million articles from over 2,500 journals and 39,000 books and reference content. And you will probably get a lot of new recommendations. So this may or may not be something that you may find useful, but for me, it's quite interesting. I do like this. Some people from faculties find it very useful. They find that the recommendation was relevant to the lecture, so they're able to start class and to review and to add a new perspective. So sometimes, you know, it's a good way for you to learn research about upcoming research as well. So someone was asking with regards to saving searches, right? But you can also set up alerts. So this lets you know about alerts and new research that meets your criteria. Go to my alerts, select on either journal or book series, and then you can select a publication to set an alert that you want. I can do this with you later. Another new feature that we have done is to track your reading history so that you can take a look at what are the 100 most recent articles that you have viewed to be safe. Then you can review and save it from your reading history or to download the entries. Okay, quick show of hand. How many of you here actually do use Mendeley or a reference manager? Okay, not too bad. Cool, okay. So for those of you who do not know what a reference manager is, I would suggest that you can go to use Mendeley, mendeley.com. It's a freeware that you can use to help you manage your references. When I was a student and when I was writing my thesis, I used to write my citations by hand. And then I realized I missed out a comma, right? And then I have to go back and redo it like maybe 50 times. It was the worst thing in my life. Well, that was, but so you can always use Mendeley, and it's a free reference manager that you can embed it on ScienceDirect. So simply just go to Mendeley. You can create a web importer. And one thing on ScienceDirect, you can see that you can simply select Add to Mendeley. And then now you can just add it to your library. It's so easy and it's entirely integrated. If you have EndNotes, don't worry. We support EndNotes on ScienceDirect as well as Zotero. So don't worry, it's all integrated within it. It just makes your life easier that way too. Okay, someone was asking, if you have an account, does it advantage you to send your paper to be published? No, it doesn't. I'm sorry. The account's for you to manage and to navigate the platform easier. So I would love to help you that way, but unfortunately we can't. The other thing which we can do is that we allow you to share articles with your colleagues with just a click, right? Over Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Reddit. So now you can find that this is something quite useful too that you might want to leverage on. Okay, so we actually do have a huge range of flexibility in terms of options that you may want to use or the librarians may want to use as well. So you can actually take a look at a quick access, right? We allow you to remote access when you can access ScienceDirect anywhere, anytime. You can select remote access and then create an account. But I think right now with what USM has been doing, you'll find that this is actually super useful for you. You'll be able to actually access this through Open Athens, like Ancient Carmel has shown you just now. We talk about subscriber links on Google together with the API integration. This is useful, right? And we have allowed ScienceDirect articles to be indexed on Google Scholar. So this allows articles to be searched for easier and better than before. We are also working on improving our security so that you're actually able to research and get articles on this cleanly without interruptions. We also have an additional support center that you can go to. If you need help, you can just simply press the question mark and you can go to the support center. We also give you an up-to-date product enhancement. And sometimes we don't really stop a product, then we roll out the enhancement. We will roll out the enhancement in modules so that your access to ScienceDirect is unfettered. Okay, so maybe at this point in time, how many of you are writing articles and you don't know which journal to submit to? Do you guys face such an issue right now? Yeah, okay, cool. So the one thing that we do have here on Elsevier is what we call the Elsevier Journal Finder. I really like this. I think it's really useful. What we suggest that you can do is to, for instance, paste in your paper title, right? So if your research is about malaria vaccine and the protection effect against parasites, maybe you can put in the paper title, you put in the abstract and the keywords and the field of research, right? I would say go to journalfinder.elsevier.com, use this. And now you can also choose how you want to publish it. If I do not want to pay a fee for it, if I want to publish it for free, then I select the journal as a non-open access journal. And if I want to publish my article in a journal that has high citation metrics, then I adjust the metrics by site score or by impact factor, right? And then now you can refine the scope. And now we will give you the full list of journals that you can actually consider browsing through. And when you're on Journal Finder itself, you can see the whole range of journals. You can see the impact factor, the site score value, the publication time, how long it takes to be accepted, the peer review time, etc. Right? Journal Finder is a really powerful tool. If you have never used it before, please feel free to do so. The only caveat I would say is that Journal Finder only searches for Elsevier journals. If you want to publish in, say, Springer Nature or Wiley, you would have to use their own versions as well. Okay, so at this point in time, there's probably a whole range of questions that I need to go through, and I can give you more live demo as well. So let me take some of the questions that I think is popping up on the chat box the whole time. Great. Okay, I think I got this. So apologies, Nuru. I believe that Sometimes it's a bit more complicated. So unfortunately, we have approximately 8 per view for now. We are probably working on it, but in the meantime, you probably will have to leverage on it. One Afifa, yes, we talk about how we can save your searches. So I would say, unfortunately, USM does not have unlimited access, but you do have a lot of access to it. So Ancient Kamal, if you'd like to chip in any point in time, how we can help you on this, let us know. Yes, Nuru, you can save and refer to the search history on ScienceDirect. Yuxie, you say you can't access to ScienceDirect. Did you try accessing the library portal that Ancient Kamal was talking about? Maybe you have to go to that method before you can access ScienceDirect. Hisham, unfortunately, you will not be able to access IEEE research. Someone has asked a question, does ScienceDirect offer a platform for mentoring for students to successfully publish? Okay, so it's not under ScienceDirect, but it is actually under Elsevier itself. So let me share with you this particular page. So this one here is actually what we call the Research Academy. It's something which I really like as well. And I usually promote this to literally everyone because I think it's really powerful. So this is really the Researcher Academy. I would say, once again, please create your login and then sign into it. And this is how it looks like. So under the Research Academy, you can find 5 different stages in your research cycle under research preparation, how you can write for research, what the publication process is like, how you can navigate the peer review, and how you can communicate the research. These 5 stages, they are actually really powerful. What I always say is that let's take a look at writing for research first. And then you can join the session itself, right? And then you can have this in multiple languages. How you can design effective figures, how you can prepare a proposal, etc. Then maybe if you want to load more, you can just simply press on and then you can find out more information. The research cycle process is really powerful, right? Let's take a look at the fundamentals of manuscript preparation. And then now you can come on to 4 modules, right? How can I structure my article? How can I manage my references? How can I prepare my manuscript? And how to write an abstract and to improve my article. I think all these are really, really powerful things. You might find this useful actually in terms of finding out on how you can write your article better. So my suggestion is go to Researcher Academy. This is free to use, entirely free to use, and it's developed by global experts. And then you can log on, and then if you want to find more questions, please feel free to do so. Sometimes you want to know about how you can secure funding, because I know this is a very pressing issue in Malaysia right now. How do you get grants, right? For instance, some of you sometimes want to know as an early career researcher, how can I find fulfilling jobs? So yeah, Research Academy is really good. Feel free to do so. I'll share the link with you as well. It's researcheracademy.elsevier.com. So sorry, does anyone else have any questions at this point in time? You can write it in the chat box or the Q&A box. Oh, for instance, just now, when we're talking about the reading history, you can see that at this point in time, with regards to this timing, you can see when was the previous access as well. So this allows you to go back to the timing, and then you'll be able to find out what it is that you read previously as well. The other new thing is that we are rolling out a beta function. So within your article feed itself, we push forward journals that you are currently following on, so that you're able to you're able to delve into the articles that are being developed for this. But let's take a look quickly on one other function that you can leverage on, which I didn't manage to show in detail. So when you go to journals and books over here on the top side here, you can simply search by domain, right? We are talking about material sciences. Well, let's talk about material science. And then you can go to the subdomain, right? In this case, you're talking about, say, material chemistry. Maybe you come across a journal that you are familiar with and that you like, maybe cleaner production. This case. You can take a look at, say, maybe the Journal of Asian Ceramic Societies. You can go into this. And then this is a society journal that was published here, right? And this is something that you might find useful as well. You can see a Journal of Membrane Science. So this journal itself has a CITE score of about 12.3. It has an impact factor of 7.183, which is actually quite high. The other thing that you can do is to go to the About, and then now you can click on the aims and scope of the journal, where you can find out about what the journal sets out to do. You can also take a look at who the editorial board is. And then you can find out that, okay, the co-editor-in-chief is a Professor Rong Wang, who's from Nanyang Technological University of Civil and Environmental Engineering, and a Jerry Lin from the Temple, Arizona State University, right? And then you can find out under here, these are all the editors of the journal, as well as the founding editors and the advisory board. So this journal itself, it's really, really established. The next thing that you want to do is, what is the guide for authors and what are the open access options? So I would suggest that you can open all this and then you can basically browse through this to find out more. You can find out that over here, these are the details that you can do for the Go Open Access. So you can see that under the Go Open Access publication fee, this is 3,800 US dollars, right? And under the guide for authors, you can find out what you should do in terms of a submission checklist. You can find out all this information about ethics in terms of publishing ethics, conflict of interest, inclusive language, how you can do author contributions, authorship, and then all this information such as peer review, article structure, highlights, abstract keywords, nomenclature. I think all this is very thorough. It's very comprehensive. We give you all this information. So please feel free to leverage on this when you're choosing a journal to publish in, or sometimes if you want to find out if this journal is the right journal in the first place. You can also set up a journal alert over here, right? And then what you like to follow, in this case, as published or articles in press, and then you can save it to your account as well. I think this is actually quite useful. So this might be compelling to you. Someone is asking, if I have an account outside the organization, does he have the same unlimited access? I would say it's best to use your account within the organization because they are the ones who paid for your access. Right, Rashid, you're asking a good question. Is there other way to save an article into Mendeley? Okay, so now we actually have integrated Mendeley into better details. So let me give you this very quick example over here. I think it's a good point. There is now a new version of Mendeley, which is not Mendeley Desktop. This is what we call the Mendeley Reference Manager, MRM. So one thing which we have done now is to create a web importer, right? So you can download the Mendeley web importer. So I haven't opened Mendeley yet. So you can see me clicking Add to Mendeley, signing in right now. And then here you go, right? You'll be able to see the entire web importer onto Mendeley over here as well. I think this is quite new. This is quite interesting. I do like this. And now you can just add it to your library, right? And now you can see this article being added right over here. Yeah. And then you can edit the reference type, abstract keywords, etc. We have been working on Mendeley quite actively. So hopefully you might find this a little bit more convenient for you than before. So hopefully this answers your question. And then over there from Mendeley itself, you could consider going and to view your full library. I'll just open it actually for you so that you can take a quick look at this here. Right now you can see your library, and then on your Windows Word, you'll be able to access it and to log on to whatever that you want to. I think this is actually quite useful now. Mendeley has really improved itself, and hopefully you find the same as well. No worries, Rashid. Does anyone else have any other questions that you may want to ask? Okay, so I'm going to bring this back to the other slide. So if you can trouble you to actually complete a survey code as well as the code here, you'll be able to get a certificate for this session as well. So if I can trouble you, you can click on this survey here. I'll take a screenshot of this survey. And then, yeah, we can actually trouble you to actually let us know how we can do a better session and workshop. Ancient Kamal, is there something that you'd like to add on as well at this point?
Yeah, from my side, I think I just want to highlight about the research support training that we do have in the library. I think most of our students are aware about this, but some maybe not. But for those who are not familiar with our research support training, so you can simply, as usual, go to library website and you can simply click onto research support training. And basically, other than this kind of training that we collaborate directly with the publishers like ScienceDirect, we do have our own trainer from our side among the librarian. And we have around 9 to 10 modules altogether covering all the research support tool that you need to know in order to accomplish your research work, from literature searching, publishing strategy. Mendeley also, we do have specific module about that. We do have Microsoft, what we call thesis template with Microsoft Word, Google Scholar, Google Drive, researcher profile, and many more. You can simply go to the website, our website, and browse about all the modules that we do have. So, so please register for it. For time being, we're going to do it fully online in the form of webinar. Other than that, we do collaborate with other publishers as well. So, Nick, if you don't mind, if you have the recorded version of this video, later on we can upload into our YouTube channel.
Sure.
So that other people can benefit from it. So you can also go to our YouTube channel. We have more than 100 research support training tutorial, short videos on how you can embark into your research work. So I think that's all from us. If you have any problem, do not hesitate to communicate with us. Please also like our Facebook page so that you're going to get the latest news about library activities. Thank you, Nate. Back to you.
Right. Thanks a lot, Ancient Kamal. I actually have been to the USM YouTube channel. It is really, really comprehensive. And I was just on it the other day when someone was doing a Mendeley data demonstration. It was very impressive. So yeah, like Ancient Kamal said, if you have more questions about the platforms that USM has, please feel free to go to the YouTube channel and sort of the library portal. It's been very, very comprehensive, and you might find some answers to the questions that you're looking for over there as well, right? Someone was also sharing that if you use the Mendeley desktop, you can just simply add the DOI and you search to fill up the Mendeley article or the resource details. You can do that, and it's so detailed on Mendeley itself that we probably need another session on this at a separate time. But otherwise, thank you so much for sitting through with me for the past hour and a quarter with regards to ScienceDirect. This entire platform has looked completely different over the past few years, and I think it's been able to pull out its search capabilities to a better extent than ever before. So it's about 4:17 right now. If anyone has any questions, feel free to type in the chat box. I'll still be around here for a couple more minutes and I'll be able to address this personally. But in the meantime, I'll give you guys back the rest of your time. So thank you so much. Do have a good day. Do stay safe. I'll see you around. In the meantime, I'll stop the recording. But if any other questions, feel free to ask me.